guys, the reason we're here tonight, if you're a boxing head, if you're if you're an aficionado, this so far in 2023 is what you've been waiting for. That is Devin Haney, Vasyl Lomachenko, all the marbles at 30 or 30, 135, lineal, Ring Magazine, everything. You're the man. Right now, Devin Haney is the man there, undisputed. How do we get this started, B? How do you want to start this off?
Classic.
What do you want to talk about?
Young kid, young brash kid versus the old man, right? And it's crazy to me that Lomachenko is now the old man, because that just makes
35 years old.
That makes me the older man.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, again, the time is now. The time is here. This fight kind of crept up on me. I don't know about you.
Were you doing your friend David Diamante right there?
The time is. Yeah, I'd probably get sued for that.
You will. You better cut yourself off. He'll sue us.
He's going to sue us right now.
He's going to sue us.
Yeah. There was just a direct withdrawal from my account right into his.
As that happened?
As that happened, yeah. In real time. This is, I got a lot of thoughts on this.
So do I. A lot. Who should start? I have a quick one if you'd like. Okay, it's just quick. My assessment of this fight is nothing like what it's going to be tonight 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
This is easy work for a prime Lomachenko. I'm not even stressing it as a fan. I mean, as a fan, a huge Vasyl Lomachenko fan. I'm not even stressing it. I'm going to say this and then shut up and let you start. But I want to say this. Since we've started this show, including the missing episodes, this is the fight with the most intangibles and question marks that we've covered since we've started this show. And I think it might be the one with the most intangibles and question marks since you and I have been friends, and we've been friends a long time now.
All right.
And I have them all, but I want you to start.
Holy shit. You really did your homework for this episode.
You're
really excited. You've been drinking a lot of coffee.
This is very much a fight that I think I know where you're going with it, and I'm going somewhere else with it. And I've done things where I filmed them. I said, Lomachenko is going to make Guillermo Rigondeaux, who is top 10 pound for pound, look silly and stop him. And I made a video and posted it on my IG. And after that happened, Joe Rogan had Kelly Pavlik on right after it happened. He's like, do you know Vinnie Paz, the rapper? Not the boxer, the rapper. And Kelly Pavlik was like, I've heard the name. And he's like, yo, he called this exactly how it was going to happen. And when you do that, you have to agree with me here, B. You lend yourself to getting abused.
Right. If it doesn't happen.
Rigondeaux,
I was there.
Rigondeaux ices Lomachenko, and I have that out there in the world.
Oh, yeah.
I can't look more of a goof, and I'm going there tonight again. So
okay.
All
right. So,
please.
Here's my thought. So now, when this fight was first made, I think we all said, wow, Haney looks like he's on the upswing. Loma looks like he's on the downswing, right? The more and more I started to think about this fight, the more and more I started to lean the other way, meaning fight was first made. I said, I'm thinking at this point in both guys' careers, Haney wins a decision. Now I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. Let me look at Haney style, Loma style, right? Haney is basically a 3-punch guy, clinch, referee breaks it, creates the distance for Haney. Haney then goes back into jab, jab, cross, clinch, right? Rinse and repeat. Jab, jab, cross, clinch, right? It's not real. He's not dynamic, Haney. I don't think anyone disagrees with me there. He's not like a dynamic style fighter, right?
Great assessment. And using that word.
Right. So
Great
he's got a really, first of all, he's big for 135 pounds, right? He used that very well to his advantage.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'm going to say he's very big.
Right.
All right. Sorry.
He creates distance and he uses the distance well. We've seen some guys sort of forfeit their distance, right? Fundora, a guy we spoke about earlier in the show, being one of them. So with that said, Haney,
Paul Williams, Chico Corrales.
Right. Your basic orthodox, straight up and down Devin Haney fighter, right? Jab first, followed by the cross, blinds you with the jab, doubles the jab nice. Does some other stuff really nice too. He does body work from a distance well. We've all questioned some of his defense on defending counters. We've seen him get caught with big counters, and I don't think he's ever been. Has he ever been down on your watch?
No, he was really badly hurt, but not down.
Right.
And absolutely saved by the bell. I don't mean from a knockout, but he was going down. If there was, if literally the bell didn't ring, he was going down.
He was going down. Right.
Don't mean knockout, so don't write me saying that.
I've been critical of Haney in terms of where he keeps his hands, where he keeps his chin. The same thing I was critical of Ryan Garcia about. What Haney, and I said this to the aforementioned Tommy Raynone, and Tommy Raynone said this to me because him and I discuss fights often, almost as often as you and I do. We talk on the phone, especially about boxing, because it's just too much to text. And he called me up and was like, I got a lot of thoughts about this Devin Haney Lomachenko thing. And I said, oh, I do too. I was just thinking about that. And we both went into diatribes about jab, jab, cross against a southpaw who's smaller than you, who doesn't let you rest. Devin Haney has been fortunate enough that when he needs to rest, he's big enough to lean on a guy. And Raynone pointed it out really well, like Vlad, when he got with Manny Stewart, right? He's going to jab, jab, cross, lean, jab, jab. And I said to him, it's crazy you said that, because I was thinking when he goes to clinch, Loma does not let you clinch.
No.
He's a fucking little muscle pest who doesn't let you clinch. His head is going to be in your chin, in your chest. If you ever watch Loma, when you try to clinch, he busts the clinch with his elbows and he rips off like 2-3 body shots, and then oftentimes goes up top. Most recently against Richard Comey, and scored a knockdown.
Yes, left hook, little short left hook.
Little short left hook on the inside, knocked the guy down. He also scores knockdowns. This is Loma late. Loma's not a guy that's gonna, blast you out of there in the first 2 or 3 rounds. He's gonna wear you down. What that tells us, you, me, everybody, is that it's a work in progress, where Loma oftentimes works where you don't see him work. And against the taller, bigger guy who's leaning on him, if Loma has what I think he has, and that's motivation, because this is for all the belts, and this guy is a glory fighter, okay? Devin Haney's jab, jab, cross, clinch isn't going to work the way it has against opponents in the past. Devin Haney's got to, and I haven't seen it with him, he better have something else for a guy like Loma. Otherwise, when he goes to clinch, he's going to be walking into a barrage of body shots in the first quarter of the fight, okay? Those body shots will eventually turn into headshots. And then those headshots, then you see Lomachenko, that's when he starts to cruise, right? Mid-rounds. Now, after he's ripped your body up, after you're chasing him all over the fucking ring, he's angles, he's spinning you, he's punching you in from angles you don't see. They don't all necessarily hurt, but they start to wear you down. He starts to chop at the foundation. He starts to bust that thing down from the foundation.
He's like an annoying bee.
He's right. And he doesn't let you rest. Haney, I hope everybody at the time of this recording saw the footage that I saw today. Haney is calling Lomachenko a dirty fighter. They're walking in during the press conference together.
I was going to play it if you're interested. I don't know when I do that kind of stuff. If you are interested in that, or you don't think we should do that kind of stuff.
But what I'm saying is, to me, that's Haney tipping his hat as to what they've been looking at as far as, as far as film is concerned, and B, building in an excuse in terms of if this thing doesn't go his way.
Well, talk about what we talked about off air, B. I know it's an aside, but just for this, it's important. You said to me, Vin, did you see that they assigned a referee? I told you yes.
Yeah. So the referee in this case is going to be Harvey Dock, which to me, that's a great referee for Lomachenko. Harvey Dock doesn't get involved. Harvey Dock lets the guys fight out of clinches. Harvey Dock, by the way, that's what you're supposed to do. Haney is saying that Loma is dirty for fighting out of a clinch. You're supposed to fight out of a clinch.
That's what you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to fight
every time a ref breaks, it's because those two dolts were incapable of working out of it.
Working out of the clinch.
Or they don't want to because they're fear of getting clipped by something. So they allow him to do it so they can reset. But if you see two high-level guys that want to be in there, they'll work out of the clinch on their own.
Right. So what I think might have started to happen is Haney starting to see certain things, including the referee. So I said to some of my other buddies that I talk boxing with, I said, Harvey Dock is much more Steve Smoger than he is Russell Mora. You know what I mean?
I like that.
He's gonna let these guys fight. I don't think the lights will get him. He's not a Kenny Bayless. Kenny Bayless has a big ego now, wants to be part of the show. By the way, that's what happens oftentimes with referees. They want to be part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
You really shouldn't. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut about something else, but because I'm friendly with him. But once the referee starts to have this like overwhelming personality, it's not a good look. You really shouldn't hear too much about the referee. And Harvey Dock is a class act. He's a great referee. And I think it'll be beneficial for the fight that they have a guy like Dock in there. Anyway, what I'm getting at is Haney's going to have to be, and he could be. Listen, we could be watching a guy in his prime. Haney's going to have to be pinpoint with that jab. I think Haney is going to have to push the pace the whole time. I don't think, because he's not really a big counterpuncher. Haney's a front foot guy. He's going to have to push the pace against Loma and do what he's going to try to do and try to smother Loma. But I think Loma's is a tough customer. Again, like you said, he's just a buzzing bee. And I don't think he'll be able to do that. Now, can Loma keep a big guy like Haney off of him, or not off of him necessarily, but be able to counter and work in those spots when he needs to for the duration of the fight? These are all questions that they'll answer on Saturday. I think Haney's got a tougher test than Loma. Do I do my pick after my assessment?
No, I don't think so. I think I should say things and you bounce off of them. And
okay.
Well, as I stated when we started, there's intangibles and question marks, and question marks is really what I'm. Okay, here's a question mark for me. I don't know, because he hasn't fought since, how good Jermaine Ortiz is. He put on a valiant effort that night. I
Right.
don't think it was close the way that Loma haters think it was.
Right.
You know, he put up a good fight against a great fighter.
Right.
We don't know until he fights other people. Those are things that tip certain scales. If that kid goes on to be really good, that win looks different.
Sure.
As of right now, Loma haters are looking at this guy, was a nobody. I don't think beating Nair Albright was very good. And then beating Herring, who was a solid guy,
Right.
means you're a nobody. They're two solid wins. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And that's who Jermaine Ortiz beat prior to the Loma comeback fight.
Mhm.
So that's huge for me. If this Jermaine Ortiz stinks, then what's happening to Loma is what is happening to Canelo. Still very high level, but not the guy that he once was.
Right.
Now, again, I don't know because the kid hasn't fought since then, and he certainly hasn't fought an elite guy since then.
Right.
That's all of that is huge for me in my assessment of this. I have to give my assessment based on the fact that this guy, whether you hate him or love him, and Vasyl Lomachenko, and I do not know how you can hate him. I just don't, but a lot of them exist.
Well, I know how you hate him.
Yeah, so do I.
You're stupid.
Yeah. First ballot Hall of Famer. I said to you off air when the fight got made, Vasyl Lomachenko, if he's 70% of what he once was, he beats Devin Haney. If he loses this fight, he's below that now. He is now 60% of his former self, or under 70.
Okay.
He can have slipped that much and still beat him. And if he doesn't, he slipped more than that. Devin Haney. Now, sometimes we've talked about things, not sometimes, all the time we talk about things. We can't say this on the air. We're protecting people, and those people are usually our friends, well, always our friends.
Right.
The stuff I know is far removed enough now. It wasn't before when we started the show. It's far removed enough now where I can say things that won't come back to this person because it's enough removed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
If I said it when it happened, it would be like, oh, well, I know.
Yeah.
Every single time it's ever gotten rough in sparring for Devin Haney, Bill Haney literally jumps up and creates a diversion and stops it. Devin's headgear is turned crooked.
Right. Yeah.
He got parked in sparring. Now, they say, not to talk about these things. Sparring doesn't matter. Well, sparring didn't matter. They wouldn't spar.
Right.
Keandre Gibson had him in way worse shape than Linares did. Way worse shape. Keandre Gibson's not a puncher. Not that Lomachenko is, but we've seen him one-hitter quitter people or a combination. I've seen him do people dirt. Rocky Martinez.
Right.
So it's not as if he's feather fisted. No, you're right. He's an annoying bee, and if he gets you out of there, it's usually an accumulation or guys quit on their stool 3 in a row. No Lomachenko. People conveniently forget that wasn't that long ago. That this guy was that good, and is when he's functioning at that level that I'm talking about. And I keep saying question mark, intangible. Is this guy still functioning at that level? because I go, okay, let's look at Teo. Okay, so like torn chips in the shoulder, rotator cuff, etc., etc. That wasn't a guy that was 100%. You know, the Jermaine Ortiz thing. I don't know how good Jermaine Ortiz is. He beat two really solid guys, and he wasn't supposed to be either of them. But he hasn't fought since then. So, like I said, if he goes on to beat some guys, you and I'll go, hey, yo, B, that Jermaine Ortiz win was good for Lomachenko. The win looks different. Right now, it's like, oh, I don't know who he was. The guys who don't know.
Right.
Nair Albright's good, man. He trains over here in Philly. He's really good, Nair Albright. Look, man, you said he's not dynamic. I think he fights like a guy at 135, John Ruiz.
Right.
1-2 clinch. 1-2 clinch.
Right.
He does double up the jab, so you're right. Double jab, right cross clinch. When that style works for you, I just don't care, B. I don't.
Right.
I'm never going to be a fan. He can keep these fucking belts. He can win this fight. He can go to 40. He can win those belts. And I'm gonna go. John Ruiz held that belt for 5,000 years too. Whatever belt he held, and he did it. And I wanted to blow my brains out. There was a time when the Klitschko's were running shit. I wanted to blow my brains out. Can I look back on it and respect it? Of course. Do I respect for what they both did? Of course. Was I horny every time it came up? No. I watched it because I'm a sick maniac and I watch everything. But we can't pretend like there weren't guys who did good things and had a lot of success in the sport that just weren't fun to watch. We've talked about Rigondeaux before, and I love to watch them. People are like, yo, avoid it like the plague.
Right.
I know, and I'm not talking about casual, but I know real boxing people that are like, no. I get it, but I ain't watching it.
Right.
So I'm not telling you he's not good or even that he's not great, but I ain't watching it. I've had people, respected people, tell me that about Rigondeaux. Yo, I respect it. I get it. I get the pedigree. I can't do it. So don't get it twisted, and that leads me to go, oh, so he stinks, or da. There's lots of stuff, bro. I think he's had the easiest route to undisputed that I've ever seen in the modern era.
Yeah, you got Kambosos, who was like a Cinderella story, beats a really, I don't know what the fuck you want to call it, Teofimo Lopez at this point, but it's just a off the rails type of guy. Hey, take nothing away from him. And Haney went down to Australia and twice.
There's things you can't take away from people, whether you like it or that. Yo, you fight the guys in front of you.
Right.
And it doesn't mean.
And he went down there. He was going to go down there without his father trainer at first. Due to some law, couldn't get down there. Haney was still willing to go do it. So look, bottom line, Haney's got.
I was watching some tape. The kid's undefeated. So what do you do with that information? Well, depending on the level of fighter they are, when they're brilliant, it's hard to find, oh, how can you beat this guy? You know what I mean? Right. I don't think Devin Haney's brilliant. I think he's really good. I don't like his style, but I think he's really good.
Right.
He gets hit by straight lefts.
Right.
Jojo Diaz, who has just fallen off, completely. There were pockets. He did not win that fight. It wasn't close. Guys, don't bother telling me that. I know that. B knows that. It wasn't close. Devin Haney won convincing. But guys, things can happen in fights that can show you. He had pockets of success. He didn't win. It wasn't close. He stung Haney with the left. He landed it a bunch of times and didn't particularly stun him, but they landed clean.
Right.
I think Harvey Doc and his ability to not make himself known and presence felt will be huge. If Loma fights at that distance that he loves, that's from mid-range in,
Right.
he dices this kid up. I don't think the things that Haney does good, like that really long double jab, can do to Lomachenko what it's done to all of these guys up until this point. It's just a stiff double jab that prevents guys from coming in or makes them reset. Because these guys have been basic. Cambosis is basic.
Right.
There's no angles there.
Right.
He's gonna slide those jabs, man.
If he gets underneath those jabs and then lands the counter left to the body, right?
The straight left counter to the body.
Yeah. What did we just see a couple weeks ago from a southpaw? A short southpaw against a long jabber.
Yep.
In Ryan Garcia, we saw a devastating body shot.
And I said that fight, I said he's gonna go downstairs,
right,
come up top and stop him, but he didn't need to. The
he
shot to the body stopped.
I think Loma's body work on the inside will be the factor in this fight.
What I didn't finish when I was saying earlier about Keandre Gibson and Bill Haney jumping up and stopping things is that the drop on him, meaning Haney, because he's the guy who has to fight the fights. You know what I mean? But Bill Haney is one of these. He's not as bad as Danny's dad. He's not as bad as Teo's dad, but he's like creeping in on that annoyance.
He's a stage dad.
He's a dance mom, you know?
Yep.
It's just when you have other guys that are so repugnant, you don't look as bad in comparison.
Right.
And those guys are more repugnant than Bill Haney.
They certainly are.
With that said, he's very this is shit that I know, bro. This isn't guesswork. Guesswork is me saying, B, me and you don't know how good Jermaine Ortiz is until he fights other guys. If he gets in there with a guy that's a hobo at 35 and gets sparked out, we're like, boy, that was Loma. That's not a good look for Loma.
Not a great win. Yeah.
But it's guesswork until then.
Sure.
I'm talking about, this isn't third-hand info. This is people texting me the day it happened. That this kid is coddled, has always been coddled. And that when shit gets rough, B, the towel is thrown in. I don't mean in the professional ranks as a pro. I mean, whether it's sparring, whether it's getting dropped in sparring, whether it's someone's getting in his ass, in sparring, and there's being a diversion created by Bill Haney. This isn't me hearing through grapevines. This is me. I had guys with fighters in there, were physically in there, in the gym. The only thing I don't want to say is the name of the gym because it's very, the nepotism in Vegas gyms would give it away. That's the only part you know what I mean? Because that keeps my guys safe. If I keep the gym, what gym it was out, you know what I mean? That's the only thing that could tip it off with how far removed it's been. But factually, Bill Haney has created diversions when someone's eating his kid's food, literally jump up on there and create something like his lace is untied, his headgear is da 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 da. We saw him on Queer Street from
Linares,
who in his prime was very good to lower level great, but absolutely was very good.
Yeah,
was
especially
absolutely
offensively.
Was very good. I think Vasyl Lomachenko stops this kid late.
Bet the over, but you're saying stops him late.
Yes. I think he beats this kid up and takes his heart.
Wow. All right.
I see the return of Lomachenko.
I'm gonna go ahead and say close in the first few rounds. Loma starts to take control and ultimately comes away with a unanimous decision over 12. I don't think he stops him. But I think he hurts him and comes away victorious.
It's the first fight as a professional that Vasyl Lomachenko is the underdog. So guys, you know, if you're a degenerate, there's a lot to play that. Hey man, Haney's minus 260.
Wow.
So that's 2.5. He's a 2.5 to 1 favorite. The over under is 10.5. I think he stops him in the 11th.
And bets on himself and wins that.
I think it's stopped by Bill Haney or a ref. I don't think that it's this one hit a quitter. Right. I think that it's very much like that little Lomachenko run that he went on, those three. This is all predicated on the fact that this is the guy. What was it? Dennis Greenby? They are who we thought they were.
Yeah. Yep.
This is me thinking he is who I think he is. You bringing up what you thought about Canelo at 32? Is that making me a little nervous? Yes. Flip side is he's also been fighting 300 years at 32.
But Loma too, huge, 300 amateur,
400, yeah, 300,
whatever it is,
amateur fights. Loma is plus 215, guys. That means if you bet a hunch, you get $215 back. If you think Devin Haney's gonna win, guys, you have to bet $260 to win 100.
To win 100.
So I love the over, no matter what you guys think is gonna happen. Okay. I love that over.
I love the over. And
because if you forced me to say, which people don't do this, but if you forced me to say, Vin, if what you happen doesn't happen, what do you think is going to happen? I'd say it goes 12 and Loma takes over from 5 to 12 and wins. Maybe a majority decision. You know, there's a lot going on here.
I think Loma will rule the second half of the fight with Haney possibly having some moments, but I have a feeling that we're going to see a motivated Lomachenko here.
Agreed.
A guy who's had his, if you want to call it a tune-up in Ortiz. He's not fighting the war right now like he was the last time. Last time we saw him. I think that Lomachenko typically fights up to competition.
I was gonna cut you off and say I'm gonna say two things. One of them, you and I think is cringe, and the other one is something that we both agree on. And you look at the Gary Russell Jr. fight, and his masterful performances are against the best guys.
The best guys. So
because his brain, this is very difficult for people to understand. Because 99.9% of the Earth's population doesn't do anything great. I'm including myself, including you, except your accents.
Boom, the best.
What happens when you're that brilliant?
G'day, mate.
When you have to fight, when you have to do something that doesn't get you hotsy-totsy, it's hard to get up for it.
Right.
So what people saw Lomachenko doing in the Ortiz fight and against Ortiz, Loma's brain was going, I'm toying with this guy. This guy's got nothing for me. So he's not putting his foot on the gas. But I don't mean with power. I mean overall, the angles, the everything. He's going, I'm so much better than this guy that me at 6 is a night off and I'm going to win. I'm not saying it's the right thing. The same way I don't think it's the right thing that he takes rounds off early.
Right.
And that was the other thing that you and I say is cringe. he's downloading information. And you and I literally get the douche chills.
Well,
but I do think there's going to be Loma feeling out the jab, what it does to
judging
him.
distance.
Yes.
Seeing what's coming behind it.
Does he snap it or does he pull? I'm not asking you and me. I'm asking he's going to be asking. Is this enough to upset my rhythm? Am I gonna slip it? Or am I gonna let him touch me with one of them and slide the second?
Right.
And slip the second one to time him because he's time
how quickly is he bringing it back? Is he right?
And how quick is the cross coming off of the second jab?
Right.
Because in Haney's head, this is all timing. 1, 2, right cross. I'm timing you. If the second of the first 2 jabs, that's the jab that Loma's really gonna start the time.
Right.
And when he slips that, he's gonna, if he punches with,
right. I was just gonna say,
punches with him when he starts throwing that cross that you brought up earlier.
Right.
You brought up that right cross. If Loma starts timing the second jab, that split second coming off that second jab or parries the second jab, lets the first one touch him, shoulder, top of the head, wherever. I think it's also dangerous. It's very dangerous if Haney starts trying to put that jab downstairs. I think that's very dangerous. Right. That's very dangerous. And Bill Haney is a schmohawk, and he might tell his kid, put that down to his belly, and he's going to get counted up top off of a jab.
Right.
I think I think Harvey Doc, man, I think that could be huge. I don't want it to be. If he lets them fight in the clinch, he's going to rip the body. He's gonna rip him to the body. I don't think he could take it to the body. I don't think he's built for this, B. I don't think he's cut like that. I think he's a coddled kid. Leading up to it, the things he said have really turned me off as a person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't get into that. Like when we do the he stinks stuff, that's reserved for like Raleigh Romero's of the world. And I do this. Joe Joyce does stink to me. But I don't. That's not coming out here. That's not what we're doing here. This isn't slander with this kid. He got there. He's a kid. He did it. When he couldn't get sanctioned here, he went and fought in Mexico to get some experience. He hasn't fought a murderer's row. The guys he has fought that were good were either past their prime, or you know what I mean.
Right.
So this is absolutely his biggest test.
Absolutely. I want to touch on what you said too. If the first jab comes and the second jab behind it, even if it's just a 1-2, a jab cross, I think Loma slipping, parrying, that's the most important part of this.
Agreed.
Is Loma avoiding that first jab.
Agreed.
Because then that second jab and the cross won't have a home.
But I think the second jab is imperative for the timing of what you just said. But the parrying and the angle, those half steps he takes after that second jab and is ready to throw the cross.
Right.
It's not going to be there for him, and there's going to be something coming back.
Right. I also think too, if Loma can drown him a bit, right, take him into some deep water, and Haney tries that jab cross, that second jab is going to be lazy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's going to be tired, fatigued.
And that's what I was saying to you is what is that jab doing to Loma? He's snapping this. We would talk about, of course, the guy's in his 40s now, but we used to talk about that power jab that Golovkin threw.
Right.
It's like it's almost a power punch.
Right.
It's making you reset. It's disrupting everything.
Right.
So that's what I think Loma's going to do in the early rounds is assess that jab and what does it do and when is he throwing the second and what's coming back? Is he going to catch and shoot off that second jab when he's ready to throw the right?
And Vin, is Loma's going to try and time him as he's coming into clinch? It's going to be bat.
Yes.
2-3 shots down low, turn either left or turn right, and then there's going to be nothing to clinch on. And if there is, it's the top of my head is going to be right in your chin.
Yeah.
It's all of that gets annoying. Time and it hurts.
Those beautiful slips to the left and right?
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful. Right. Those are massive to me, in my opinion, for this fight
Mm.
because when you're fighting a guy that long, that's trying to use distance, that nullifies it almost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It cuts that distance off, and you're magically, because his feet are so brilliant, you're magically in that range, that mid to close range. Because let's not forget, you think Loma short, much shorter, but his mid range is mean. You think
Absolutely.
he's got to be on the inside. Basically, you're Haney, you got to keep this guy on the outside at the end of that jab, and that's it. That's how you win. That's it. If you cannot do that, you're fucked, and you're fucked early.
Early.
If you can successfully do that, which no one has done, I'm including Teo and Salido. If you can successfully keep him frustratingly on the outside,
right?
A, more power to you. B, that's how you win.
That's how you win.
If Devin Haney wins this fight, I don't know if we do this when we make predictions, but I'm just gonna. If he does, it's John Ruiz-esque, and Harvey Doc lets it happen.
It's a holding stinker.
He stinks out the joint. There's booze, and he gets to, and it's because it was allowed to happen, and Lomachenko wasn't allowed to work in the clinch and work out of the clinch like he did with Comey with that. He didn't even take a half a step back. He was in his chest when he crumbled him with that left.
Right.
He didn't even do the classic, take a half a step back and rip an uppercut.
Right.
It was a little short left in his chest.
Right. And just boom.
None of this shit, bro. I'm telling you that this kid cannot take any of this. I don't mean from a chin perspective, even though he's chinny. No. Factually. Because people are going, you can't say he's chinny just because Linares. Guess what? I can. He was on Queer Street in sparring against Keandre Gibson, and anytime he was hurt or stumbled, other times, which he has been, there's been nefarious shit going on.
Right.
And this is all factual to people that think out there.
So to stamp this.
Stamp it, B.
Vinny Paz, 10th round knockout?
Lomachenko, 11.
Lomachenko, 11. Okay. Brendan Long official pick is a Lomachenko decision victory. I'm actually going to say UD.
Okay. Guys, it's for the all the marbles at 35. Quick little addendum, B. It's a good close fight, a rematch, or no?
Yeah, if it's a close fight.
Good close fight. 115, 113.
Yeah.
Split decision, et cetera, et cetera.
You got to
guys have their moments. They run it back.
Well, okay. If Loma wins, yes. If Haney wins, I don't think he'll grant him if it's close and he wins, he won't grant him a rematch.
Yeah.
But I think
that would be smart. And that would be smart.
And deserved, right? Because he gave Cambo a rematch, let him fight again for his belts. I actually don't think Loma would deserve it if he lost at this point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be typical. I mean, unless it's like really, back and forth, they trade knockdowns, and the fans really, really, really want to see it.
Right.